Welcome to my world. Come on in and make yourselves at home. Welcome to my life. I know everything's gonna be all right. Welcome to my world. Oh, won't you come on in? Welcome to my life. It's known as the Tiger's Den. Greetings to all of my subscribers. I want to thank you for being with me for as long as you have, and the new subscribers that's coming on in. We want to say greetings and thank you for your time. This is from Toothless and the moderators. Welcome to the Tiger's Den. Greetings and welcome to the Tiger's Den. This is the voice of Cheryl, and I am Toothless Tiger. Tonight, I'm going to not read the plea bargain information. One of the reasons I'm not going to read it tonight is because I want to focus on some things that's happening between Fani Willis and Adrian Love and what's going on in the Young Thug trial. So I will be going back to the plea bargain. I'll go back to that Sunday because they'll probably start doing more hearings. They have more issues in this Young Thug case where different things happen that they get so many vacation days, and I know these people are not wanting these days because there have been some problems with them getting paid. And imagine you being there for over a year and 6 months, and so your whole life, could be upside down, if not homeless. I don't know how they're making it, and I don't know how they're staying, but thus far, the people are still there. But they have a lot of administrative days, and then a lot of people in the courtroom sound like they're very sick, and so there's a lot of coughing and sneezing going on, and sometimes you can't even hear the testimony. And then Assistant DA Love has a tendency to stay away from the microphone, and I don't know how the court reporter hears her to be able to, take down the exact words that are being spoken, but they make it work. So I have quite a few things I'm going to share tonight. As you know, my editing skills sucks, so I have to use different videos to I want you all to hear and see. I really wanted you all to hear this detective testimony with the DA, and then hear how so very rude and obnoxious and outrageous that she was with the defense. It was just unbelievable that the judge would allow her to get away with the things that she was doing, and she knew exactly what she was doing, and it was so, nerve-wracking for her to do the things that she was doing. It's really painful, to be honest, but it is what it is, and there's nothing we can do about it. But I want to say greetings to everybody in the bushes, in the leaves, in the trees, in the sky, on the beach, in the sand, in Aruba, in Belize, in the Bahamas, in Mexico, wherever you may be, on a boat or in a room. Enjoy yourself, and if you've taken the time out to look at me, I greatly appreciate it. I hope that you will hit the like button, and I hope you will stick around and enjoy the show. I look at my stuff that I do and the stuff that others do, and I am so in awe of a lot of people and the way they cover this story, and especially the way they can edit and the way they take a long 8-hour day and make it into 4 or 5 clips, and it tells the whole story. That is just awesome to me. Um, Without having that skill, I have to do stuff the old school way, and I have to play because, I always had a problem when I was in school. You know how you're supposed to be taking notes and you highlight the things that are the most important? Well, unfortunately for me, I never could cut off what was not important. So I would end up color coding my whole page so I wouldn't look really stupid for having the whole page highlighted. So I would just use different highlights for different parts of the sentences. And it worked for me. And that's kind of how I do things. So it may take me a minute to get there, but eventually I get there. And I try to be as accurate as possible. Sometimes it's not always accurate. And, we just do the best we can. It is not my intent to harm or hurt anyone's reputation or them. I'm just calling it like I see it in my opinion of what I see. One thing I know about opinions, they can be wrong. A lot of people say, how can your opinion be wrong? Easily. You can be wrong about something just because you think it don't make it right. But, and if that is true, in my opinion, I would ask you to forgive me because it's not my intent. I just call them like I see them. And some things I don't even call. I just allow them to be. But in this instance, I want to talk about the things that's been going on. As y'all know, hey, Asatar, greetings. I know you out there doing your thing. Congratulations on your remonetization. I am happy for you. As always, keep doing what you do. Kicking that past gas with ass. That's every morning, everybody. It comes on at 6 a.m. That would be 4 a.m., I believe. No, it's 6 a.m. Yeah, it's 6 a.m. our time, Central Standard, and it is 4 a.m. Pacific time on the West Coast. But if you're up early getting ready to go to work or whatever, check out Past Gas with Ass. I'll drop his link in there shortly. Yeah, get that work done. You've been doing that since I know you. Okay. Well, get them what they like, and I know you will. And yeah, I'm having a pretty good hump day, and I hope everybody else is too. But I was about to start telling you guys, as you know, the last time that I was here, I showed that Fani Willis chose not to participate in the debate. She decided that she would go and I think it was something about the black, some kind of law enforcement conference or something like that. And she decided to attend that instead of debating someone who's running for her seat. She's very confident in the fact that because she has the lead, that she's going to win this race. So it's a possibility that she will, because people won't participate in changing their own environment. We really, really, really complain a lot. And we really think we have no power. And for most of our lives, it appears that we don't have power, but we really do. The power is vested in the people. But if the people does not use the power, then no, it will never work for you. We have to start learning what we can and can't do. And so I'm going to be covering, because listening to the people in the Young Thug trial, and it's the same happening with Donald Trump, they're taking away these people First Amendment rights. And in a minute, they'll be taking away ours, because it's amazing how they're going to Instagram, Facebook, X, and YouTube and taking comments. And they're taking the comments as being some that the actual person wrote. They don't know if that person wrote it or not. They don't know who have access to their account. They don't have any of that, and they don't believe they have to prove that. And they're using it all against them. And some of the stuff is just so silly. It's kind of like these people on this YouTube over in this sector with the fake beefs that they have, and they pretend like they hate each other so much, and then the next week they're kumbaya, so you know that that can't be true. Then Fani faced a new lawsuit by State Representative Mainor, and she used to be a Democrat, and she said she just got really disheartened by the things that she's actually seen happen, and so she switched parties. And she's been stalked, and nothing has been done about it. And the guy that represented the stalker actually was a classmate of Fani Willis's, and he's on the commissioner's board, so they work hand in hand, and therefore nothing was done. So I'm going to show you some of that, and then I'm going to show you just came out today that, you know, when Fani said she had to leave her home and had to go move in Robin Urity's home because she was being threatened, and she had to leave there running, more or less, even though she ran off and left her children somewhere, because we don't know where they went. They never said they went with her. And the oldest child, they said, went back and forth, and then the dad chose to stay in the house to protect the home, but he needed his daughter out. And all of these people were coming out. They said it was the mega people, and they all were threatening and saying some atrocious racist things, they said. Turned out there are no police reports, period, so I'm going to share that information. So it's just a thing that here they're locking these men up, or trying to anyway, by putting them in a conspiracy of RICO and using one person as the organized leader, and he's doing the telling and the instructing, and these people are carrying out his instructions when both men have no clue probably what the other people are doing. They may have some idea of one or two people because they may know the people, but you don't know when a person decides to go and do something wrong. You know, that's an inside deal that's in that person's mind. And since we don't have the knowledge or the capacity to know the operations of someone's mind, it's really, really, really unfair the way they're handling these people in these cases. Hey, Angela, I'm so glad you're with me. But I'm going to start out talking about Fani's malfunction, and then I'm going to talk about her dad lying. Then I'm going to move on into the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the First Amendment, because, you know, it's bad enough we're censored on these apps. You know, it's so many people that own the news, and with those people that own the news, they kind of tell everybody what to play. And if you look at any news station on local TV, they all play the exact same thing at the exact same time with the exact same wording. And news just does not happen like that, and it used to not be told like that. You used to could, if you missed it on one channel, you could catch it 5 or 10 minutes later on the next news channel, and you could literally look at all the news channels and catch the major story that you were looking for. Not anymore. Everything is so orchestrated, and you talking about organized, but these people make you almost afraid to say anything to your family members, to your friends. Certainly all these people who claim they are shock humor, they all should be incarcerated, because the things that they're trying to link these guys up to has nothing on it like these people and the threats and things that they say, the atrocities on this YouTube. I really tell you, they say some pernicious stuff on this YouTube. So it's really amazing how we're vigorously trying to send these guys, and especially Young Thug, who I believe is a revenge actually charge. I don't believe these people believe any of the stuff that they're saying, and that's why they sound almost asinine. And I really, really, really want to believe that the judge is really a man of honor and valor, like he supposed to be with all the titles that he holds, but he doesn't show that in the courtroom. And then he's been sick, and so he's been doing all the loud sneezing and coughing, and half the time you can't hear the people answer. I don't know how this is going to turn out, but it has to be a joke, and hopefully it will be a mistrial. Those guys did the things that they did. Those that did the things that they did. They also went to prison for them. And this is really, really, really a Fifth Amendment thing to me. Double jeopardy. But, of course, I'm not an attorney, and I'm not a law professor. I'm not a lawyer. And I don't give legal advice. I don't interpret the law for nobody but myself. And that's what everybody should do. Read it and interpret it for yourself, because you are the one that's going to have to work for. It does not have to necessarily be the same situation for me. It needs to be what you need it to be for you when you need it. So, let's get into this beautiful, beautiful story that I have to unwind. And as y'all know how my mind works, it goes all over the place, but I try to keep it in manner in which you can understand. So, let's see what's going to happen now. We're going to start out with that beautiful, beautiful gala that she went to. And you know, I think she should have kept Robin Yerdy, because they said that she was her social media person. She was also her stylist, because whomever she has for a stylist now, they're doing her a disservice. I don't think she should have ever had on the dress that she had on, which it was a beautiful dress. I like the dress, but it was too short for her to be sitting on the stage. And then, of course, when you see this, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So let's get to that event. And this is from the Daily Mail. Okay, and so they're putting in their advertisement for Mother's Day. So hopefully you guys have done your Mother's Day shopping. I get to tell my mother Happy Mother's Day in heaven, so I don't have to do that shopping anymore. But we certainly want to recognize all of the mothers, either by birth or just by loving on another person's child, because you can be a mother in more than one way. Now, this article here says, Fani Willis, Fulton County DA Fani Willis suffers embarrassing wardrobe malfunction while speaking on stage at Miami NABCO. And what I've done is I've included the link in the description. I'm just going to read this, and I'm just going to show the pictures. She's not talking about much, and I can't remember if they have music in the background. But what it says is, embattled District Attorney Fani Willis accidentally showed off more than she bargained for during a speaking appearance in Miami over the weekend. The Fulton County prosecutor, 52, attended a cocktails and conversation event on Friday, hosted by the National Association of Black County Officials in the city's of Overton neighborhood, who has made a name for herself by prosecuting Donald Trump over claims be conspired to change the outcome of the 2020 presidential election, was billed as a special guest at the free event held at an outdoor venue, the Urban. Members of the public were invited for a night of mingling, music, cocktails, and engaging in thought-provoking conversations with the scandal-plagued DA. But it was while taking part in that discussion on stage, the NABCO President Commissioner Keon McGee, that Willis suffered an embarrassing wardrobe malfunction captured on camera. DailyMail.com footage shows. And let's see that malfunction. Now, you know she's wrong in the garments. So now that is a good thing. But that dress was way too short. Way too short. And then while she's sitting there, the cameraman looked like he couldn't stay out from in the area in which he stayed. And that's the dress there. And she was there, and so was Roland Martin. So that's that story. Quite an embarrassing one, to say the least. Let's move to our next story. Yes, Angela, yes. I would agree. So, let's go with the father first before I read the article. I was going to read the article first, but let's hear him tell his beautiful story under oath. So not only does his daughter tell lies under penalty and perjury, so does the dad. And we say we'll do anything for our children, and I guess this is what this is. You cannot fault a parent for loving their child. You can't fault them for that, but of course, no matter what, there are always consequences to our actions. So I do not judge him for loving his daughter and doing what he thinks is right to help his daughter. But we'll just see how all of this play out. It say, we told her to put on some Spanx. We didn't say shoulders. And everybody was telling her that. Angela, that's funny. I'm going to have to give you some laughing emojis on that because that's funny. That is true. That did happen. Everybody and their mama was talking about that lady. And she needed to do this. And so she tried to do what people asked her to do. And now everybody laughing because she showed them. I think she needs to make up with Robin and ask her to come back. That's what I think needs to happen. I don't know if Robin really did dress her better, but she was her stylist, they said, as well as her social media person. So hopefully she can get her another one since she wants to go Hollywood. I'm looking at, like some of these shorts, and I saw one of the judge on TikTok, and it had 8 million. So I believe that all of these people in this case is really trying to get their celebrity on. I really don't think that they really care anything, as that detective kept saying. She was with the state she was articulate, she remembered minute details, and when she was with the defense, she wasn't interested in any of that, and so she didn't pay any attention to any of that, and all of that sound utterly ridiculous, and it sounds just like a total lie. But let's go with Fani Willis' dad telling his story. It's about 5 minutes. I didn't want to get a lot. It's about 5 minutes, and we want to hear his story on his daughter and what was happening to her. Let me see if I can get that up here. I'm going to cancel this and I'm going to start over. I really appreciate you guys for being here. And let's see what we come up with.
Into District Attorney Willis's home. Who lived there?
Well, my daughter lived there. I lived there, and from time to time, my grandchildren would come.
Okay. And did your grandchildren, were they at school coming and going?
Exactly. I think they were in school in various jurisdictions.
And during the time, how long did you live at or with Miss Willis?
She was forced to move after she was elected. I don't know if you want me to go through the whole thing, but that, Your Honor, if Your Honor will indulge me. After she was sworn in on January 1 of 2021. And on or about the 3rd of February, at probably 5:30 a.m. in the morning, there were people outside her house cursing and yelling and calling her the B word and the N word, and just, it was bizarre. Okay, it just.
Sorry, pause, sir. Mr. A.D.A, here's the objection to you.
I would say it's effect on listener. He was present while all of these things were occurring, but I can.
No, that's. And he's saying he was personally present to hear these things?
Yes.
Okay, overruled.
Okay, and fortunately, the neighbors called the police and disbanded the group, and it was just, it was just, I hadn't seen anything exactly like it before.
Okay, and after that happened, can you tell the court did Ms. Willis have to move from her home?
Yes, she was forced to leave.
Okay. And can you tell the court after she was forced to leave, shortly after she was sworn in, did you remain at her home in Fulton County?
Yes, I stayed there really until 2022, I guess.
And from what you described, did you fear for her safety?
Absolutely. Not only did I do that, the South Fulton police, they brought a man with a dog, because there have been so many death threats, and they said they were going to blow up the house, they were going to kill her, they were going to kill me, they were going to kill my grandchildren. On and on and on. It just, it became, and I was concerned for her safety.
And after those concerns came to your attention, and after what you heard and saw that day, you remained at the house?
Yes.
And can you tell the court, with what you just described, why did you remain living at the district attorney's home here in Fulton County?
Mr. Buck?
I believe it's relevant based on a lot of the questions that were asked yesterday of Ms. Willis as to about the security threat and the fact that it was implied that those threats were not necessarily real in the sense that Mr. Floyd remained in the home. There were many questions about the fact that he remained and her children could still come and go to the house. I think it's relevant based to the testimony that was elicited from defense counsels yesterday.
Overruled.
Well, these South Fulton police, first they put a car in front of the house that was there permanently, a police car. That was thing one. Thing two, they brought a person with a dog sometimes more than once a day, twice a day, and they would circle the house to look for bombs. I knew that that was a house that my daughter had worked for. It was a brand new house. She's the only one who would ever live there. It's a 4-bedroom, brand new house, and somebody needed to protect the house, and I stayed there to basically take care of the house, to take care of the yard, to take care of that. Also, somebody sprayed, again, the B word and the N word on the house, and I don't think my daughter even knew that. I cleaned it off and called the police, and South Fulton police, they have, I'm sure, all the records of all the things that happened. And all of the neighbors, I notified all the neighbors to look out and to watch out. And it was so crazy. I mean, it was just so crazy. We'd have people would show up and park car. There was a guy parked for probably 8 hours out in front of the house. It was just, and we'd call the police and,
Okay, now we heard him tell that story, and that was a beautiful storyline. And I'm sure he could write a book or make a movie, because it really sounds like it was some things happening at their address, right? Well, let's go with the Daily Wire. This came out today, May 1st, 2024. Okay, here we go. Police say they have no records to support claim that mob of racist whites surrounded Fani Willis's home. Fani Willis' father testified that police was called after a mob shouted the N-word and someone else painted the N-word on Willis's home. The South Fulton police say they have no record of the incidents. In the court proceedings involving whether Georgia prosecutor Fani Willis hired her boyfriend to try the President of the United States for a crime and lied about it, one piece of sworn testimony was particularly dramatic. Her father, John Floyd III, that she hired on this case, who has the same John Floyd name as the RICO specialist, that we don't never hear about his payments that he received, or we don't even hear about she hired him anymore. Nobody talks about that. I guess maybe I'm imagining that, but I read it and it's in one of my older videos. Testified to the court in February that his daughter was forced to move after she was first elected. After she was sworn in on January 1st, 2021, on or about the 3rd of February at probably about 5 or 5:30 a.m. in the morning, Floyd explained, there were people outside her house. cursing and yelling and calling her the B word and the N word. It was bizarre. Fortunately, the neighbors called the police and disbanded the group. That was his explanation for why Willis wound up living in the apartment owned by a friend. And let's remember, the friend didn't own the apartment, we found out. The townhouse was leased. Okay? Who testified that Willis was dating Nathan Wade before she hired him to lead the prosecution. Floyd remained in the house, which was owned by Willis, until 2022 and detailed the threats in his testimony. They said they were going to blow up the house. Kill her, kill my grandchildren. I mean, and on and on. I was concerned for her safety, he testified. It was so crazy. We had a guy who showed up in the parked car for probably 8 hours, and we'd call the police. The South Fulton police first, they put a cat in front of the house that was there permanently, a police car. And that was a car, y'all. My glasses, my eyes, and the screen are all going into blur vision. And I said they put a car in front of the house that was there permanently, a police car. They brought a person with a dog once, sometimes twice a day, to circle the house to look for bombs, he said. Also, somebody sprayed again the B word and the N word on the house. I don't think my daughter even knew that. I cleaned it off and called the police, the South Fulton police. I'm sure they have records of the things that happened. So he called the police after he cleaned it off, or did he call the police before he cleaned it off, is a question that I would probably ask. But in response to a public records request by the Daily Wire, the City of South Fulton Police Department said it had no record of any of those incidents. In fact, the single incident report pertaining to the home was a report of an abandoned vehicle in July 2021. The vehicle was impounded. And normally I would say if it was an abandoned vehicle, I don't know if it is like it is here in Texas, but generally that means that, you had a vehicle sitting in front of your home, that the tags were out, and I don't know if they have inspection stickers, and the inspection sticker was out, and you can't have that, just in the public view here in Dallas, Texas. I don't know about in Georgia, but I don't know how they would make it an abandoned vehicle unless somebody just left a car there and they call themselves. But South Fulton Police Chief of Staff Javal Rogers said in an interview in which the Daily Wire explained that it was seeking corroboration of Floyd's testimony, that he had not been able to locate any records, but that Madam D.A. Willis has her own executive protection along with sworn officers. Plus, Fulton County has officers, so it was possibly that another entity handled the incidents. Well, the father said South Fulton, so unless he didn't know what he was talking about, it's hard to believe he would confuse South Fulton with Fulton County or her own personal detail. The Fulton County Police Department, however, said that no records exist in response to a public records request for any police report, incident report, or dispatch log from November 1st, 2020 through June 1st, 2021, pertaining to the block. The request noted that this is the home of District Attorney Fani Willis and her father, John Clifford Floyd III, who may have a FCPD protective detail. The Fulton County Sheriff's Office told the Daily Wire that it had no record of any incident on the block in the first half of 2021. A spokeswoman for the Fulton County Marshal said that office was not involved. A spokesman for Willis, Jeff DeSantis, did not respond to a question about the lack of police records and a request to provide records on threats from Willis' security detail. While the absence of public records does not prove definitely that the events did not happen, it raises questions, particularly because Floyd specified that her neighbor called police, meaning it would likely not be internal to the special security detail. Floyd also said the Fulton County Police responded and that there were threats to kill him, presumably also not falling under the DA's security detail. The story contending that in Fulton County, where 74% of residents voted against Donald Trump and a plurality of people are black, a mob of early bird racists gathered at 5:30 a.m. to shout racial slurs at the home of an obscure public official who had the power to put them in jail is in some ways reminiscent of actor Jesse Smollett's claim that while he was walking in sub-zero temperatures in Chicago with a Subway sandwich, white men screamed the N-word and F-word at him while saying Chicago was a mega country. He was ultimately jailed for filing a false police report. Questions of credibility were at the core of the Fulton County proceedings, which ended in Judge Scott McAfee ordering that either Willis or Wade be removed from the case against Trump. Wade resigned in March. Willis said she began a relationship with Wade after she hired him as a special prosecutor in November 2021. Rather than improperly steering a contract to a paramour, an expert witness for the defense said that Willis and Wade exchanged 12,000 texts and calls between January and November 2021. Wade acknowledged that he said under oath that he had not spent time with other women before his divorce was finalized, even though that was not true. Wade used his work credit card to pay for extravagant trips with Willis. Willis contended that she reimbursed him, though there was no record of it because it was in cash. Floyd sought to bolster his daughter's credibility by saying he advised her to keep thousands of dollars in cash on hand because it's a black thing. Willis began a criminal probe into Trump days after the purported mob outside her home and ultimately charged Trump and 18 others with charges related to alleged election interference. So then, is this about him interfering with the elections, or is this about the people coming in front of the home, supposedly? Which one is it? That's a question that bears answering. The case has been paused since the March ruling, as the disqualification ruling has been before an appeals court, but is likely to return to the public eye soon. The appeals court has until mid-May to decide whether it will review McAfee's ruling, in which the judge declined to dismiss the case entirely on the basis of prosecutorial misconduct, despite criticizing Willis for legally improper activity. In October, Willis was purported 150 threats against her as justification for asking the Fulton County Board of Commissioners to allow her to designate more staff as personal employees not subject to some personnel rules, saying she's got to have people who are loyal to me. And it seems that she has that. An Alabama man was charged that month with leaving a threatening voicemail about Willis on a Fulton County customer service line. And that's the end of that story. So y'all be the judge. What do y'all think after hearing the daddy tell his story so eloquently and so fearfully? What do y'all think? Hey, Phyllis, glad you're here. What do y'all think after hearing him on the witness stand and then actually knowing now that after they did a freedom of information, and I guess these people don't realize that anybody can request a Freedom of Information Act if you're so, desire, if you're interested in the intricate details of what's really going on, anybody can request it. And due to the transparency of the government, then you can receive it. Some things may have to be redacted, but you will get the gist of whatever it is that you're trying to find out. So I guess they forget that. I don't know. Phyllis says, is there justice or just us? It looks like it's just them. Okay. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, I want to go, and I would like for you all, if you would, listen to the Bill of Rights. I think more people that look like me need to understand and know that there really are things in this country that really does work for us if we know them and know how to apply them. They make it awfully hard. But it doesn't do us any good to believe in right and doing good if we don't think that nothing right is going to ever happen for us. There has to be a reward at the end of doing the right thing. If the reward is from no one but yourself, knowing that you had the discipline to do the right thing in the face of whatever you could have done. Because sometimes it's hard to choose right when wrong is oh so easy, but the consequences is what you cannot be sure of. Some people do things and they think the consequences are minuscule, but it ends up costing them their breath. And it wasn't supposed to go like that, but it sometimes ends up like that. So you have to choose right just because it's right to do right and right to be right in your actions. And you do that the best that you can, because you're not going to always get that right, since there is no perfect beings, as we love to say when we're in a situation where we didn't do right. Angela said next they'll say they don't have the 911 call because they weren't recording them. Well, I tell you, Angela, you ain't lying, because that's about the way that detective was answering when she was talking to the defense about her reports. And they keep asking her about their reports. And what got me, the judge, like I said, I don't know what his issue is. I don't know if he's afraid because of the case that he actually called the mistrial and didn't do his due diligence. And then he looked like, a little slappy, happy little, whatever you want to call him. But I don't understand how he allows these people to do and say the things they do and say. Every time the defense asked this lady a question, she answered, questioning them, telling them what they not gonna do. And this is the thing. She said that she doesn't have her file, which, that's understandable. She no longer works for the police department, and I can't really see them allowing you to take information about suspects or people that were actually convicted home after you leave the department. I can see that. But what I don't understand is, if that be true, how did the DA get the photo lineups that she wrote on personally if they were in the file folder that she left up on the 5th floor in the file cabinet? Makes no sense. And the judge just kept tearing the defense up when he was trying to ask. I mean, he would not let them get in anything that will help their client. But this is the state's case right now. It's not the defense. And they'll get a chance to make a little more leeway. But I don't know how many of the jurors they have left, because like I said, this case has been going on for over, 16, 18 months? And these jurors are not getting paid a large sum of money, and they still have rent. Now, perhaps their job is still paying them, and they have to turn in those checks. Hopefully, that's the way it is. That's generally the way it is in Texas, that you turn in the checks. When you work for the government, I don't know about if you work for private entities or whatever, but when you work for the government, you turn in that check, and then you get your regular salary. But I don't know for how long they allow that to happen. That I don't know. Okay, so now we're going to go to, I want us to comprehend what's happening. So I'm going to be playing the Bill of Rights so we can understand what the Bill of Rights are. And then I want to break down the First Amendment so that we can understand what's at stake here, because our liberties are really at stake, whether we believe it or not. I've been doing the series on the Sixth Amendment that they're trying to take away from us by pressuring us into plea bargains, and as opposed to going to trial, which is your right to do, because they have to prove beyond reasonable doubt. But if you're confessing and taking a plea, they don't have to prove anything. And so, as they said in the federal arena, as I've been reading, who wants to take a chance when you don't know what they're putting before the grand juries? Because the grand jury hearings are secret, and you don't know, and they don't have to be honest, and they don't have to tell the truth, and they can withhold information that exonerates you. So those kind of things, that has to be wrong on its face. And that's where you have to learn legal and lawful. Because some things can be legal, but it's unlawful. But if you don't know which arena that it fits in, then you think that everything they're doing is right, and you go along with it, and it's not. So we're going to do that, and then I'm going to play a man that's going to introduce us to the RICO specialist as he breaks down to Judge McAfee how these people are misinterpreting RICO and the conspiracy of RICO. And so then I want to share Representative Mainor's sad story on being stalked and how she's been neglected, and I know that feeling. But she's being stalked physically, and it's really sad that nobody cares. And it seems nobody cares until something happens to an individual. It's almost as if that's what they really want, for something to happen before we can say, oh, I wished I would have known. I would have done more if I'd have only known that it was that bad. It's unfortunate that honor and valor really no longer have a place in public work. But many of us, and I don't go anymore, go to work and we give it everything we have, even when things are going wrong for ourselves. We treat people right. We research and try to find the best answers for them. We do everything we know to do to help the individual and the mission of the company in which we represent. We spend a lot of our days making millions for others when sometimes we're at work hungry and our lights may be turned off or our water at home, but we're there diligently, on time, putting in the work. but not everybody is like that. And that's what we have to understand. So, here we go. We're going to talk about right now the Bill of Rights. This is very important. At least I believe it is for us to know.
If you ask people to describe what is in the U.S. Constitution, most would begin by citing freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and maybe the right to bear arms. But in fact, these are not part of the Constitution that came out of Philadelphia in September 1787. They are the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. They are part of what is known as the Bill of Rights. And why was this Bill of Rights necessary? The answer is that many Americans thought the Constitution, a document dedicated to limiting federal power, didn't limit that power enough. This was not a fringe opinion. People like Thomas Jefferson, James Monroe, Patrick Henry, and George Mason all shared this fear. James Madison, one of the principal authors of the Constitution, disagreed. He argued that all the assurances the doubters wanted were already in the Constitution. They just needed to look a little more closely. But Madison, ever the pragmatist, came around, especially when it became clear that without those assurances, the Constitution would not be ratified. So Madison took it upon himself to draft the 10 amendments. The First Amendment is the most famous. It clearly sets out some of our most fundamental rights, the rights for which America has been universally admired. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble. The Second Amendment protects the right of the people to possess firearms. A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The Third Amendment is the most obscure, but made perfect sense to a citizenry that had, within recent memory, fought off the British Army. No soldier shall, in time of peace, be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner. The Fourth Amendment prohibits the government from arresting you or searching your belongings without some reason to think that a crime has occurred. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause. The Fifth Amendment guarantees you a fair legal process before you're deprived of your freedom or property, and protects you from being put on trial for the same crime twice. It also protects you from having to testify against yourself in court. This is the source of the phrase, plead the fifth.
And that's what they have done so far to all of the witnesses that they gave the plea bargains to. They gave them the plea bargain, which is not supposed to be a double jeopardy situation, but it all appears to be because the state has acted very vehemently against these young men and a woman who wasn't even in the case. She was just a witness, because they didn't give them the results they wanted, even though they answered according to their actual plea agreement. They're saying that they did not, and they brought this officer who I say has a questionable background. Questionable because she was supposed to actually testify at a supplemental hearing against one of their main witnesses. because she went and spoke with him in a parking lot and not at the police department. And he was supposed to have an assault rifle. And after speaking with him, they allowed him to go, but they came back and arrested him later. So it's some crookedness going on somewhere. Then she had a gentleman in the car who told her about, he wanted her to give him $20, and she says she told him she wouldn't give him $20. She wouldn't give anybody $20. But the word on the street is, and I don't live on the street nor in the streets of Atlanta, that she paid to play. And that's her prerogative, however she gets the job done. I don't know if they have rules and regulations against it. But since they have rules on what you can receive, certainly they must have rules on what you can give, because law enforcement is about the appearance and the integrity of the office and the person that's executing the enforcement of that law. And so if you are someone that's not to be trusted and you are the enforcer, then how can you hold the criminal to any standard? Because in my opinion, with a DA and an assistant DA like this, who needs criminals? I mean, they are the epitome of what, in my mind, criminal behavior is like. And from looking at all the court shows and investigation discovery and the CSIs and all of the stories that I've seen and all of the prisoners that I've heard in person and on TV, it's something is not right about what is going on in Fulton County. And unfortunately, a lot of the people are in the demographic that they have the poor performing schools. The kids drop out early, thus their parents probably dropped out early. Most children that drop out of school, most children have a parent that dropped out of school, and education is not important to the parent. Therefore, it's not important to the child, because a child gets what they need from their parent. They even get the beginning of their drive. Now, the individual steps in, and whatever it is, it may supersede their parents' ideas, because maybe their parents grew up in a time where they were not allowed to dare to dream. Even though everybody tell you about Martin Luther King's dream, everybody wasn't allowed to dream or follow their dream and share it. Now, nobody can stop you from doing something in your mind, and he's going to explain all of that in the First Amendment, which is really not this man, but another man. That's really great, and I think everybody should hear it. So let me stop talking and let me allow you guys to finish hearing what he has to say.
And if the government takes your property to put it to public use, for example, to build a highway, you must be paid a fair price for it. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. The Sixth Amendment gives those charged with a crime the right to have a speedy trial with a lawyer by their side and to confront their accusers. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. The Seventh Amendment.
Unfortunately, in Fulton County, they have many people that have never even been indicted, meaning charged with the crime that they were arrested for, and even more, have never received a public defender. Some people call them pretenders. But I think public defenders can be a great thing, especially if you go to the law library and start reading along with them, because they're trying to make a name for themselves and they want to win. A lot of people think that they just do whatever, and they may have to do what their boss say do, but again, We all have something inside of us that drives us as an individual. And if you had any kind of parenting that gave you that oomph that you need, some of us take it and run the gambit with it, and some of us are stopped along the way by things that are said to us or done to us, and so we stop ourselves. But I guarantee you, the majority of the people, when they start out in these positions, they start out with the heart and the mind, the majority, to do the right thing and to help as many people as they can. And it's not until they get there and find out that the system in which they took a profession in is not built that way, and you're not going to be able to do what you thought you were going to be able to do. Then you have to start making decisions, and you have to decide what you're going to compromise in your value system. That's just the way of life. It's called the nature of the beast. Just like he said with the Sixth Amendment, you have a right to know the nature and the cause. The nature basically is telling you the jurisdiction. What type of crime? Is it an admiralty crime? Is it a maritime crime? What type of crime is it that we're talking about? Most people don't ever challenge that. And so they end up in a situation where they're copping a plea, going to prison, and that very person could be innocent. So let me go back and let you all listen.
Gives you the right to trial by jury in civil cases. In suits at common law, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved. The Eighth Amendment protects you from unduly high bail and fines and antiquated forms of punishment. Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted. The Ninth Amendment makes it clear that if a right is not mentioned in the Constitution, it doesn't mean that right doesn't exist. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny others retained by the people. The 10th Amendment is, in effect, an insurance clause. It makes clear that any powers not reserved to the federal government belong to the states or the citizens. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively, or to the people. These are the first 10 amendments to the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights. They have long been and remain an elegant testament to our understanding of freedom, the placing of strict limits on the power of government to interfere in our lives. It's hard to imagine America without them. I'm Sharif Girgis, Associate Professor of Law at the University of Notre Dame for Prager University. Thank you for watching this video. To keep PragerU videos free, please consider making a tax-deductible donation.
I thought that was pretty interesting and a great breakdown of the Bill of Rights, in case you didn't have that comprehension of the Bill of Rights. And so now I want us to understand the First Amendment, because that's the one that we really always talk about, free speech. And that's the one that's really being violated, in my opinion, in these cases, and can be held against us in any arena that we're in. Even on YouTube, it's only certain things that we can and cannot say. And that goes to the company policy and procedure, and they have a right to their policy and procedure. And so, we have to come into an agreement when one person's right ends and another person's right begins. And so it's just kind of good to know these things. And some people may be well versed in this, but I know that I wasn't not until I started researching for myself. And so I want to share it with you all. And here we go.
National Constitution Center in front of the First Amendment tablet. And I'm here at the National Constitution Center in front of the First Amendment tablet. Let's talk about why the founders believed that Congress can make no law abridging the freedom of speech, press, religion, assembly, and petition. Well, they had 4 reasons, which have been developed by the Supreme Court over the course of American history. First, freedom of conscience is an unalienable right because people have the right and the duty to think for themselves. Second, free speech makes our representatives accountable to we the people. Third, free speech is necessary for the discovery of truth and the rejection of falsehood. And fourth, free speech allows the public discussion necessary for democratic self-government. Remarkably, all 4 of these reasons are clearly and brilliantly expressed in 2 texts that we're going to talk about today. Thomas Jefferson's original draft of his Virginia Bill for Establishing Religious Freedom from 1777, and Justice Brandeis's opinion in Whitney versus California from 1927. Let's begin with Jefferson's bill, which he drafted after returning to Virginia from Philadelphia when he wrote the Declaration of Independence. Jefferson considered his religious freedom bill among the 3 most important accomplishments of his life, important enough to be inscribed on his tombstone, along with his having drafted the Declaration of Independence and founded the University of Virginia. Under Virginia's colonial religious code at the time, all dissenters were required to support and attend the established Anglican Church. Presbyterians and Baptists could be arrested for practicing their faith or preaching the gospel. Quakers and Jews and other dissenters could be denied the freedom to marry or to have custody of their own children. Jefferson proposed not only to disestablish the Anglican Church and remove all criminal punishments for dissent, but also to prohibit all compelled support for religion of any kind. He concluded that because freedom of conscience is a fundamental right, government can regulate overt acts against peace and good order, but it lacks all power to intrude into the field of opinion. Let's review each of Jefferson's 4 reasons. First, freedom of conscience is an unalienable right because people have the right and the duty to think for themselves. Jefferson said, well aware that the opinions and beliefs of men depend not on their own will, but follow involuntarily the evidence proposed to their minds, God hath created the mind free and manifested his supreme will, that free it shall remain by making it altogether insusceptible of restraint. In other words, Jefferson argued, freedom of conscience is by definition an unalienable right, one that can't be alienated or surrendered to government, because our opinions are the involuntary result of the evidence contemplated by our reasoning minds. We can't give presidents or priests or teachers or fellow citizens the power to think for us, even if we wanted to, because we are endowed by our Creator with the capacity to reason, and therefore we can't help thinking for ourselves. Second, free speech makes our representatives accountable to we the people. In his Religious Freedom Bill, Jefferson emphasized that it's crucial in a democracy for citizens to be able to criticize public officials, because legislators and religious leaders, being themselves fallible and uninspired, as Jefferson said, will always try to impose their own opinions and modes of thinking on others. Jefferson's prediction came to a head in the controversy over the Alien and Sedition Acts in 1798, when the Federalist Congress made it a crime to criticize the Federalist President, John Adams, but not the Republican Vice President, Thomas Jefferson. Third, free speech is necessary for the discovery of truth and the rejection of falsehood. Jefferson concludes his Religious Freedom Bill with words expressing his unshakable faith in the power of reason and reasoned deliberation to distinguish truth from error. And the words that he used are inscribed in marble on the Jefferson Memorial in Washington. Truth is great and will prevail if left to herself. She is the proper and sufficient antagonist to error and has nothing to fear from the conflict unless by human interposition, disarmed of her natural weapons, free argument and debate. Fourth, free speech allows the public discussion necessary for democratic self-government. Jefferson believed that in a democracy, all citizens have an equal right and responsibility to exercise their rights of conscience. As he put it in the Virginia Bill, proscribing any citizen as unworthy the public confidence by laying upon him an incapacity of being called to offices of trust and emolument, unless he professes or renounces this or that religious opinion, is depriving him injuriously of those privileges and advantages to which, in common with his fellow citizens, he has a natural right. In 1927, in the greatest free speech opinion of the 20th century, Justice Louis Brandeis distilled Jefferson's 4 reasons for protecting free speech into a few inspiring paragraphs. The case was called Whitney versus California, and here we see the first Jewish justice insisting on the right of Anita Whitney, a white woman, to make a speech defending anti-lynching laws, which were designed to protect the life and liberty of African Americans. Whitney made her speech at a Communist Party meeting, and she was convicted under a California law that made it a crime to associate with organizations that advocated doctrines that might lead people to break the law. In 1926, Brandeis had read Jefferson's original draft of the Virginia Bill for establishing religious freedom. And in his Whitney opinion, the following year, Brandeis adopted and refined Jefferson's standard for ensuring that government could only punish overt acts of lawbreaking and not the expression of dangerous opinions. As Brandeis put it in Whitney, fear of serious injury cannot alone justify suppression of free speech in assembly. Men feared witches and burnt women. It is the function of speech to free men from the bondage of irrational fears. To justify suppression of free speech there must be reasonable ground to fear that serious evil will result if free speech is practiced, and there must be reasonable ground to believe that the danger apprehended is imminent. Brandeis's inspiring test for protecting free speech, namely, government can only ban speech if it's intended to and likely to cause imminent and serious injury, was based on his Jeffersonian faith in the power of what he called free and fearless reasoning to expose falsehood through public discussion. As Brandeis put it, if there be time to expose through discussion the falsehoods and fallacies, to avert the evil by the processes of education. The remedy to be applied is more speech, not enforced silence. Only an emergency can justify repression. Brandeis's test was finally adopted by the Supreme Court in 1969 in the Brandenburg case. And as a result, the US Supreme Court and the United States of America now protect free speech more vigorously than any other country in the world. Brandeis went on in Whitney to summarize Jefferson's 4 reasons for why government can't make laws designed to restrict free speech. And in the process, Brandeis achieved a kind of constitutional poetry. I'm now going to read Brandeis's central passage. Listen closely for each of Jefferson's 4 reasons. Here we go. Those who won our independence believed that the final end of the state was to make men free to develop their faculties, and that in its government, the deliberative forces should prevail over the arbitrary. They valued liberty both as an end and as a means. They believed liberty to be the secret of happiness and courage to be the secret of liberty. That's a quotation from Pericles' funeral oration. They believed that freedom to think as you will and to speak as you think are means indispensable to the discovery and spread of political truth. That without free speech and assembly, discussion would be futile, that with them, discussion affords ordinarily adequate protection against the dissemination of noxious doctrine, that the greatest threat to freedom is an inert people, that public discussion is a political duty, and that this should be a fundamental principle of the American government. Well, that's the most inspiring paragraph on free speech ever written. But as that paragraph shows, all 4 of Jefferson and Brandeis's reasons for protecting free speech are based in an overwhelming faith in reason itself. The First Amendment is based on that faith, that people will take time to develop their faculties of reason through education and public discussion, that public discussion will be a check on arbitrary and partisan demagogues rather than enabling them, that more speech will lead to the spread of more truth rather than more falsehood, and that people will, in fact, take time for discussion. And deliberation, rather than making impulsive decisions. All 4 of these founding faiths are being challenged in a polarized age of social media, which is based on a business model of enrage and engage. Twitter and Facebook and other platforms have accelerated public discourse to warp speed, creating virtual versions of the mob. Inflammatory posts based on passion travel farther and faster than arguments based on reason. And rather than encouraging deliberation, mass media can undermine it by creating filter bubbles and echo chambers in which citizens see only those opinions they already embrace. For these reasons, some are calling for America's free speech tradition to be reconsidered or amended. Here at the National Constitution Center, in front of the First Amendment tablet, we are proud to preserve, protect, and defend the faith in reasoned deliberation that is the foundation of the freedom of conscience protected by the First Amendment, which encompasses the 5 freedoms of speech, press, religion, petition, and assembly. As America's leading platform for nonpartisan constitutional education and debate, we bring together Americans of different perspectives to cultivate their faculties of reason. Only by listening to the best arguments on all sides of the constitutional questions at the center of American life can you exercise your right and duty to make up your own mind, like Jefferson and Brandeis and Frederick Douglass and Ruth Bader Ginsburg and all of these great free speech heroes of American history, we are dedicated to what Jefferson called the illimitable freedom of the human mind. For here, as Jefferson said, we are not afraid to follow truth wherever it may lead, nor to tolerate any error.
And he finished by saying, and any error, so long as reason is left free to combat it. That reminds me of everybody being so upset with the things that they hear Donald Trump say. A lot of things that they hear him say is just some speech that he say that may not be friendly to all. It may not be something that you want to hear. But it is not something that has caused anything to happen. And I know that they're saying that because of what he was saying, then January the 6th happened. But if you know the Constitution and read and comprehend it, and if you notice the things that happened there didn't happen like they happened in the neighborhood, then it may be something to looking into step by step what happened actually, so you can get a better understanding of what is being said. And I don't know if I said that to where someone can comprehend where I'm coming from, but that's what I said. And so we're going to move on now. And I understand that sometimes when this thing is buffering like that, it's because so many windows are open. And again, because I don't know how to edit, then, I have my stuff open in places that I want to play it. So I have quite a few of them open, and perhaps that's what it is. I don't know, but I appreciate you guys for staying with me and allowing it to happen and staying to hear what it has to say, because I think these things are needed. If we've gotten too old to where we can make a difference, then we can teach someone that's younger, that's coming up, and teach them the right way so that they can get a handle on what's going on. So here we go. I want y'all to hear how this RICO man that Fani Willis hired explains RICO, and it's coming up. So here we go.
That this is protected speech, and there's very strong arguments for that, but we have to turn back to how the criminal code actually applies to the judge looking at that, and this may not be the point that happens.
Second, we're being doubled up on here.
This is not a trial. I think you can handle it, Mr. Saga.
And this is, I'm just going to be on one specific point. Not duplicate the argument made before. I believe defendant Trump fundamentally misunderstands the role of an overt act in a conspiracy case. As we've discussed many times previously, this is a RICO conspiracy case. And so we heard Mr. Saga discuss various overt acts and say, well, but this is just a tweet. This is just a phone call. This is just acts. The unspoken underlying and incorrect premise then is that every overt act must be a crime. As we've discussed a number of times, and as the state has set forth extensively in multiple briefs, that's not true. The purpose of an overt act is to show that the conspiracy is an operation. It is not a separate crime. It doesn't have to satisfy the elements. It doesn't have to be pled with that level of detail, as Your Honor acknowledged in an order, I think that's all of 2 weeks old. And so to say we can't mention this particular act or this particular conduct because it's not a crime or it's protected by the First Amendment, the answer to that is actually, so what? Because it could be legal conduct. It could be First Amendment protected conduct. That also shows there's a conspiracy in operation. And that's, as long as it serves that purpose, it's fine. And so overt acts should not be examined by a standard that has no application to them. They are not separate freestanding offenses. And there is federal case law that, if need be, we can cite it to you, that has said an overt act can involve First Amendment activity. Its purpose is not to be something that is separately charged here, separately subject to a separate sentence. Its purpose is to show that there is a conspiracy and it's an operation. Georgia RICO requires one overt act by any one defendant. So, of course, the RICO would stand if anything, any of the 161 overt acts alleged constituted an overt act. It would only take one. It doesn't take any by Mr. Trump. But the point is, we have an abundance of them by Mr. Trump, and for purposes of the RICO statute and the manner in which it functions, it doesn't matter whether that's First Amendment conduct or not. I mean, my colleague has fully explained why much of this conduct is not shielded under any circumstance by the First Amendment, and I don't mean to contradict that in any respect. But it's important not to lose sight of the function the overt act plays, the role it plays in a conspiracy case here, because it is not the role being suggested by defendant Trump.
Last quick one on this. Fani Willis, they can appeal. What do you think happens with that?
Well, there's the appellate court, I think, is going to defer ultimately to what the trial judge said. But the trial judge in this case, when you look at the ruling that he reached, he is very critical of the law, kind of confused as to what the precedent is. He says that effectively in his motion, in his ruling, and he also says that he isn't particularly confident in his ruling, or at least words to essentially communicate that. So I think the appellate court is going to see that language and really step in to make sure that they are either supporting the ruling that he made or draw some sort of line in the sand as to where the law perhaps needs to be clarified. So we're at least a couple of months away from hearing a
because they, as you can see, that Georgia kind of just took some of the laws from the federal RICO Act and just kind of made up their own thing in what they were doing, and that's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate, but it is what it is, and that's how it goes. Now we're going to move to Representative Mainor. I have two small videos. One is about 2 minutes, and one I'm going to play a portion of it. It's about 22 minutes or something like that. But it's very interesting in what happened to her, and I want you all to hear it and what she has to say. It's very important. It is unfortunate that we don't have more people in here learning this information. Perhaps it's just my idea that this is great information and nobody really cares about it, but it's my responsibility to put out the information that nobody really cares about, because they may not care about it today, but I am a firm believer that one day that we will be looking up all type of information, and we'll be looking it up for someone that we love and care about. and we will want to know. So I want to have that information available for whenever that comes across you as an individual, that you will have somewhere to go back to and find the information that you seek. And so I ask anybody that's in the chat, please hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, consider subscribing to the channel and joining my membership. I have memberships as low as 99 cents and they go up to $24.99. You choose the one that best fits you, but it helps support me and this channel. So I greatly appreciate it if you would consider joining my membership. And here we go. We're going to talk about State Representative Mainor now.
At 5, Fulton County DA Fani Willis is now facing a new legal challenge. State Representative Mainor is now suing Willis, the Fulton County Ethics Board, and Commissioner Marvin Arrington. Now, Representative Mainor says that she's a victim of a years-long criminal stalking case. In the lawsuit, Mainor says that DA Willis failed in her duties to protect her from her alleged stalker. And she also claims the DA did not fight for her as a resident of Fulton County. Commissioner Marvin Arrington is also named for allegedly mishandling the case as the attorney for her alleged stalker. So within the last 90 minutes, we heard from a spokesperson from the DA's office in response to this. The statement says, quote, Representative Mainor's allegations are baseless. We have not been served with a lawsuit. If we are confident it will be dismissed. Tonight at 5, Fulton.
So as you can see, there is no compassion, no empathy, no care for the people of Fulton County that she says that she cares so much about. And she wants to make sure that the people of Fulton County are safe and the people of Fulton County get a chance to participate in this history-making circus that she's promoting in 2 rings. And that's the young thug trial, and the Donald Trump trial. It is so very sad that this lady has no human compassion. And everybody was laughing at the judge. They said they thought that he passed gas, and they said that didn't happen. But I certainly did belch, and so I can only say excuse me. Let's go to the news conference. And hopefully it won't stop as much, because we really need to hear what's being said, but I have no way of stopping it. So here we go. We're going to try to see if it'll play.
Three people unindicted have sat in the jail longer than 2 years. This prolonged detention, often is overcrowded in overcrowded conditions, reflects a failure of justice and basic human rights. It's imperative that the legal system upholds its duty to prosecute promptly or release detainees. Each person in the jail is someone's child, parent, sibling, or loved one. The Georgia General Assembly set clear guidelines for DA Willis requiring requiring her to indict individuals in custody within 90 days. Those arrested without bond must have their case presented to the grand jury within the same time frame. There are no exceptions to this law. If individuals have been incarcerated for over 90 days, while the DA takes extended vacations with her special prosecutor, it's a direct insult to Fulton County families and those in jail. Consider this: sleeping on the floor for 2 years without facing a judge is not justice. It's a glaring example of inhumane neglect, which the law is designed to rectify, either prosecute or release. The ACLU reported 503 unindicted inmates that were incarcerated at least 90 days. 447 were sleeping on the floor. DA Willis is required to notify a judge if a person remains in jail on felony charges without indictment for more than 45 days. Sheriff Labatt faces a significant challenge with his colleague neglecting her duties, leaving him to manage an overcrowded jail. If DA Willis addressed the backlog as requested, lives could have been saved. Everyone deserves justice. By the end of 2023, 90% of the people in custody were Black. This is not a time to give awards to people for failing to do their job. The Georgia General Assembly enacted a law mandating bail amounts to reflect a defendant's income. Excessive bonds can be rectified swiftly under these laws. Mismanagement in the DA's office shouldn't jeopardize someone's livelihood. Before I go to the next speaker, I want to say one last thing. DA Willis, backed by Commissioner Arrington, has spent millions prosecuting 2 celebrities. This allocation of funds adversely impacts the residents I represent. Standing up against political figures like Arrington and Willis is daunting. Living in a system that feels broken and corrupt and facing retaliation for protecting my family is disheartening. Yet I am supported by brave individuals that were not scared to stand next to me. There are also many brave individuals that have been contacting me about their stories. To those listening, don't hesitate to share your story. You have a community of supporters that will assist you. If you've been victimized by Commissioner Arrington or DA Willis, contact my office. Remember, victims should never blame themselves for things beyond their control. There's no excuse for anyone to violate, harass, intimidate, or stalk you. Trust your instincts and take steps to protect yourself. I'm going to have L.A. Pink from the Street Groomers come and speak.
Good evening, everyone. I am L.A. Pink. I am the president and first lady of Street Groomers. I stand here today in honor of our state representative, Misha Mainor. I hate that she has to endure the things that she has had to endure. But we've been talking about this for years, the abandonment that Fani Willis have left in Fulton County, the abandonment that she have left to the families that have lost their loved ones, to the jail, to the streets, and the police brutality, are just the things that are going on in our system. We have Nigel Collins, we have Jamarian Robinson, we have Kane Rogers, we have Jimmy Atchison. These cases are indicted cases that have been left undone. Money that have been gathered from our commissioners to attack these situations that have not been addressed yet. We have a young man that have been in jail for 5 years. waiting for just a trial, waiting to see a judge, and have not yet seen a judge. There are so many things that she can be doing instead of chasing Trump and chasing after the YSL case. A case with the YSL that we feel that is more of a love affair and a retaliation of someone that's in the indictment. So today we stand here because enough is enough.
My district is somewhat big. I wanted to get some leaders from all sides. I'm going to have Mr. Mike Roberts come up and speak.
Good morning. My name is Mike Russell. I'm a resident here in Atlanta, and I stand this morning humbled and proud to be with Representative Mainor and L.A. Pink. These are two very strong, courageous women that do everything in their power to help those who are less fortunate, those who feel powerless in our county and in our city. L.A. Pink, for those of you who don't know her, she fights every day for the homeless, for the victims of our society. She feeds them out of her own pocket. Representative Mainor has done nothing but reach out and try to help everybody in our community, starting with the youngest amongst us. And I am appalled at what's happening in our community today. And it is time to end the cult of corruption here in Fulton County, starting with DA Fani Willis. She has done everything for everybody else except for the people of Fulton County. Why is she in New York and D.C. raising funds to be reelected as the DA in Fulton County? I've had victims come to me. I'm not a public official, but they know that I will stand up for them. I've had victims come to me, a family, a mother and a daughter, whose loved one was murdered over a year ago. Their trial of the perpetrator keeps being delayed because Fani Willis says she has more important things to do. What is more important than a murder trial? And this guy is out on bail with an ankle bracelet, and he's a previously convicted felon. Just this week, I had a businessman who had $30,000 stolen from him. The perpetrator, a known felon, had a large screen, flat screen television delivered to her residence. Atlanta Police Department did the investigation, handed the evidence to Fani Willis' office. Without contacting the victim, she dismissed the case. And then you have the overcrowding in the jail because she fails to prosecute when we have people there up to 5 years who have not seen a judge in a jail that's being mismanaged by Sheriff Labatt. The culture of corruption needs to end. And they're all together. Sheriff Labatt, Fani Willis, Marvin Arrington, Natalie Hall. You see one, you see them all. And every one of them have violated the trust of the public. Natalie Hall cost us $1 million stalking a victim. She was not charged by Fani Willis, her friend. Let me say that again for those of you who don't know. Commissioner Hall cost the taxpayers of Fulton County $1 million because she stalked her victim that worked for her, planted tracking devices in his vehicle. She was not prosecuted by our DA, Fani Willis. Why? This corruption in Fulton County needs to end, and our lawmakers need to take them and hold them to account. And I'm hoping that the voters of Fulton County are paying attention and will vote for a clean slate of candidates and stop this cult of corruption in our county.
I have 2 more individuals that have been personally impacted.
My name is Joel Watley. My last name is W-H-A-T-L-E-Y. I'm the father of Casey Watley, who's been incarcerated in Fulton County Jail for 5 years now. And as we're starting to see, there's a pattern of corruption within the district attorney's office. My son, like I say, has been incarcerated 5 years. The attorney he had was a current, a prior district attorney who had worked with Fani Willis previously. They came back and stated that they found evidence in my son's case after there was no evidence. They came back and said they found evidence and they had found fingerprints. Well, it came to find out in court that that was a lie. They said a second testing had been done and my son's fingerprints were found on the scene, and that was a lie. The attorney, Darryl Korn, tried to get my son to take a 20-year plea deal by falsifying evidence. And as you can see, corruption is just running rampant within Fulton County Jail. It's time for something to be done, man. We got to do something. Y'all allowing these kids to be locked up, knowing that lady is corrupt. She spent the money that was meant to help the kids, and then she RICO'd them. She RICO'd all the young people after she spent the money that was meant to help them, to create a safe environment for them not to have to be out here in these gangs. Now let's ask her what she did with that money. It's time to do something to clean up Fulton County. We're not talking about tomorrow. We need to start today. You got over 800 people in that jail who shouldn't be there, haven't been indicted, they won't take them to trial. How is that justice? And you know what the crazy thing is? Fulton County sit back and watch it.
Good morning. My name is J. Wesley Day. That's J-E apostrophe space Wesley, W-E-S-L-E-Y, Day, D-A-Y, David Apple Yellow. I want to first give an honor to God, who's head of my life, and I want to thank you, Representative Mainor, for giving me the courage to tell my story. In 2018, I was beaten in a hate crime. They called me homophobic slurs, fags, sissies, and I videotaped my assailants. You would think that it would be an open, shut case, but instead, the criminal justice system here in Fulton County vilified me. They first charged me with the fray. Then they upgraded that to a felony. As a result, I lost my job with Delta Airlines because I reported to Delta that I had a pending misdemeanor. Delta was the one who came and told me that I had a pending felony. As a result, fast forward nearly 6 years later, none of my
I put that link to that news channel in the chat. So I wasn't expecting that one. I got to go back and look for the rest of that. That is really so sad. So y'all see what the people are dealing with. And trust me, this is not just in Fulton County. This is happening throughout the United States. I told y'all just the other day that I found out in Fort Worth, Texas, they had 63 deaths since 2017, with the latest one being last week. So this is not nothing that's new that's happening. And we really need to start reading and learning the people that are representing us in our hometowns and become involved. Let me come on camera and say hello to everybody. Hi, everybody doing? And it's just really sad what we have to deal with as people. People, all people, our children, more than any people. It is so very sad. And then what's so sad about it is, everybody want to have these conversations, but nothing never changes. And then we don't have the conversations fairly, because if we would be honest and fair, Fani Willis looked like me. She may be lighter in skin tone, but I can't blame it on the European. And I don't care who's pulling the strings. You see, it's just like they're trying to put RICO on all these people. They are the ones who are willing to do the bidding for other people, if that be true, to get what they want and to keep others down. And it's all people. I have to find my video I seen of this little young European 18-year-old and how this officer took and just threw her body to the ground and lied. He just 100% lied and said that this young lady wouldn't roll down her window. What he didn't bank on is the store having video, and you can see her window going all the way down. And that little baby weighed about 99 pounds soaking wet. And he yanked her out of that car and slammed her to the concrete. It is unbelievable how we're treated as people, all people. And we know how we're treated as Asiatic Americans, indigenous to this land. We all love to say something different, and you have that right to say whatever you choose. But if you understood your history, you could understand what I'm saying and take more pride in what's happening to us as a people and to humanity. Because it's classism, hegemony, one group ruling over another. So we can keep looking at each other, talking about your skin, my skin, and all that. It don't have nothing to do with nothing. Not one thing. You've been taught that hatred. You wasn't born. That's not innate. Now, we are told we're all born sinners. That could be true. I don't know about that, because I don't even know what that is. But I can tell you, you have the right and you have the opportunity to do the right thing. You have the opportunity to research anybody that's in office or that's running for office. You have the opportunity, if they're an incumbent, to look and see how they voted. How have they handled your trust so far? If they're up and coming, look at their background and what they write about themselves and what others say about them. And if they don't have anything in common with your interests, then you might not want to pick that person. Just because you can relate, because this is a female and she looks like me, so I know she cares. I can't say she cares. I don't even know if she cares about her own 2 children. They didn't go with her when she went under protection, when she was running for her life. So I don't know how she cares. I don't know a lioness that would leave her cubs with her daddy. And then one of them, we don't know where she was, because she never said. The other came and went like she wanted, but they were afraid of the European crowd outside her home. Makes no sense. Then she go and pander to a church of hopeless people who probably can't even pay their bills, but the church is edified. Beautiful. Half those people there could have been hungry. But I bet you they ate the pastor and the DA. You know, they called it the king's table, the inner circle. You know, the one you can't be a part of, but you have to give in order to be in good standing with your affiliations. We got to get real, people. We got to stop playing. Stop just talking about we praying. What about being prayed upon? You know that P-R-E-Y-E-D? What about that? Hey, Tasha, good to see you. What about that? We got to stop this. We got kids born in neighborhoods where we know it is nothing but ghetto. Nothing but Section 8 housing. Nothing but food stamps. With no grocery stores. No men in the house. We know this is true. And they grow up how they grow up. Trying to make it. Some of them start out as little bitty boys. 10 and 11 going around trying to pick up trash. Trying to cut yards. People call the police on that. Some of them stand on the corner trying to sell water. They just trying to do something to do an honest living. And then they get caught up in that other life. You know, the one where they come drop the drugs and the weapons in our communities. And have y'all noticed they always talking about buyback, but they only buy back in our neighborhood? Most of us ain't even eligible to have a gun anyway. So how in the Sam Houston are we going in selling those weapons? We got to start thinking. The Second Amendment, that's why I showed y'all. I want us to become more versed in reality, in the laws that govern us as a people. I'm not asking nobody to be no lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. To be no attorney. I'm not an attorney. I'm asking you to seek knowledge. It is written in the Sun Book. Most of you all call it the Holy Bible. It is written. My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. My channel don't get many people. I don't give enough bullshit. I'm sorry. I'm fresh out. I'm 65. I don't have none to give. I know how to talk the talk and play the game and hurt people's feelings and laugh at other people's pain. I know how to do all of that. I didn't come here for that. I don't have a proper place that I actually fit in. So I do me. I'm so very grateful for the new people that keeps me. Now I'm at 1,574. I lost one. But I tell you, it took me over a month to lose one when I used to lose one every other day. So it's fine. But I'm going to keep sounding the bell. I don't do what Pink does. That lady is to be commended. And all of that giving, people pretend they're giving to the Lord. You need to give to somebody that you see that's actively out here doing something, that's actively working. I see more people give to bullies on YouTube than they'll ever give to help a cause, and they may need help themselves. It's a lot of hurting people out here on these social platforms. And believe it or not, they're using everything against us. Everything. It's amazing. And I'm truly honored. As bad as they talk about our governor and our AG, as bad as they talk about them, we don't have no crazy laws such as RICO on the state level. A law that was made for the mafia. You know those men that dress very well, very respectful and mannerable, but cross one of them, and your whole family may cease to exist. And their family know that they do something, but they hide them at they held them at the highest esteem. We don't even have anything good to say about our men. We don't even have nothing good to say about our women. But we can only rise as high as we view our women. As I shared with y'all the other day, teach a man, you teach an individual. You teach a woman, you teach a whole family, a nation. Because that's what she carries, a nation inside of her. Ain't nothing wrong with having a little fun. I don't see nothing wrong with it. Ain't nothing wrong with roasting if that's what you do, but these people don't roast. They expose you. And you say, expose me? What do you mean by that? I don't have anything for them to expose. You have a life. And you have loved ones who have a life. These people are good at that. And they feel good about it. And they laugh. And people give. And give. And give. A workman is worthy of his hire. So I receive when I receive. And I'm truly grateful. But I do my best to give you something to think about. And something to learn from. And something to share with your babies. Because we need each other. And it's not going to get any better anytime soon. I don't believe. So pain will motivate us to come together. And that's why I make these videos. Because somebody's going to want to know, what did she say when this happened? What do? You read. And when you're hurting real bad, you write. You write for yourself to get it out of you. Get the pain out. It's got to come out. We have an energy body as well as a physical body. The energy body is known as the metaphysical. And I'm not deep into metaphysics. I don't pretend to be. I don't have no secret formulas or nothing like that for nobody. I just know that it's written for us to know the truth. Whether we want to learn the truth or not is up to us. My cousin told me something today. I was really honored. She told me she did that DNA test where they tell you all of this about your DNA. And she told me something that I already knew and had shared with her. Now, I don't know which form of the original Cherokee we are. I don't know the Bantu. But the person that I learned for already told us where we come from. And that's what we come from. Anyanguia is known as Cherokee. You see, everything changed. The Reconstruction period. We were taught everything against who we are. Everybody enjoy our culture, and we just make up cultures. And then we allow people to ruin those cultures. And then we say that's our culture. It is not our culture to be crooks, although we have crooks in our culture. I need you to hear what I'm saying to you. Everybody ain't bad in no ethnicity. But you gotta have bad seeds in order to have rotten fruit. You gotta have some. We were taught animal husbandry training, not to go against one another, but to follow the leader. No matter if the leader is leading you off the cliff, you just go with the leader. But innately, if you listen to what the man said about the Constitution and what the founding father thought about us having our own opinions, using our own mind. Remember, it's a you factor. You know, people laugh and make fun of you. They want to shame you off of this opportunity of a lifetime. There are people out here making real good money on YouTube, helping people. Some people making people laugh. Some people teaching people how to do things. Some people just on here and you don't know what they're talking about. But they're doing well. And I salute them. It should be more of us. You can't find a job, you got a phone. You got a YouTube. You can get on here and talk about you. Talk about something you made up. It doesn't matter. There's an audience out here for everything. And even though my audience is not as big, I've seen people grow and grow and grow covering these stories. And I swear their coverage is no better than mine. Their editing is, but their coverage is not. And I'm here at this little pace, and I'm going to keep on going at this little pace. I'm not angry at nobody. It's only so much I'm going to do. So I can't get angry at anybody who come and get it. What you put in it is what you're going to get out of it. Now, what I want y'all to do is, I really wanted y'all to hear this detective talking to the DA so you can hear the contrast and how she's talking to the defense. But I think I'm starting out here with the defense. And I just want y'all to hear, this is a detective supposedly, the one who supposedly had this photographic memory when she was testifying for the DA. And you heard the state representative name off, and then one of the citizens named off the people that are all in cahoots with one another. Collusion. I think that's what they're charging Trump with. And the people that they have charged, the same thing like they're charging Young Thug. And Young Thug seemed like such a humble young man. I'm not saying that he doesn't have faults. I'm not saying he didn't do wrong. But they have nothing wrong that he's charged with. And that's what I have a problem with people. They don't have nothing but people to say all of this stuff. I don't care what you know and what you think you know. But if you go on by what these people are saying, they didn't charge him with anything but gang activity, conspiracy to RICO. He didn't do any other crimes. And these guys, most of the crimes that they're talking about happened 10 years ago, 11 years ago. Most of them. And they've already gone to prison. Some of them are still in prison because they got a plea deal and then they revoked. I don't get it. But we all so smart and we all know all the lingo. Most of us ain't been nowhere but in the visitation room like myself. I've never seen so many people with so many opinions. And we have a right to those opinions. But they make no sense. None whatsoever. I've never seen a judge, and I know that he is not the only judge that seemed to be in what we would call corrupt, or whatever derogatory term you want to use. If you want to go midway, however you want to do it. He's not the only one. I mean, I know that I covered a story on him letting these people go. This young man who had unalived someone, and he called a mistrial when he shouldn't have. Instead of him going to the computer and his books, reading, he just gonna go with what he thought. But that's a place you can't just think. Everything is written out for you. And you follow it like a map. It's not right. And it's not right that we, the people, don't get more involved. We have the right to petition. And you can petition by way of a letter. And if more people would petition, I'll guarantee you somebody will respond to you. One person can change everything, but it takes more than one person in most instances for action to happen. It doesn't mean it can't happen with one person, because it can. And sometimes it does. Boy, but just imagine. You know, it's written over in Ecclesiastes about the 1, the 2, and the 3 chord. And how if it's tied together. You know, like a braid. Imagine. But of course, in Georgia, you'd be under RICO. But unity is strength in numbers. These people are actually putting their lives on the line. They actually are. Thank you so much, Angela. I appreciate you. You helped me reach my goal. I appreciate you so very much. Let me say thank you.
Your face. You got to remove the excess water. Now she's coming
This
out.
is how you do it. Thank you. I hear people, you know, talking about this case and talking about other stuff, and they be so far off the mark, and I be trying to figure out where did they get that from. I mean, were they really listening? But again, we're all entitled. And it could just spark a conversation. Sometimes people are being contrary just so that they can get a response. Start a conversation. We have to do better as people. We may not believe it, but we need each other. We really do. And it's not based on what you have. It's based on who you are as an individual. What morals, what values, what core principles do you grab hold to and live by? What are you teaching your children? What are you not teaching them? I mean, really, y'all, it's very painful watching Young Thug. You know, they keep his lights on 24/7 so he can't sleep. They won't even give him a bond. They don't have him tied to nothing, but they're taking postings off of Instagram and off of X, which used to be Twitter, and YouTube, and taking comments of people saying that this is something that they said because of him. We're in trouble. We're in trouble, y'all. Y'all may not realize it today, but I'm telling y'all, as a people, we're in trouble. And you got this woman frolicking off to all of these conferences, and she doesn't even know how to dress properly. She came in the courtroom with a dress on backwards. And this is the lady that everybody's talking about, the lady that represents us. She's the face of a woman for America. I will be damned. Not me. She's not the face for me. Not the caliber of woman either. But I think these people are really doing these things for the little clips that they're getting on TikTok and the little shorts and how many viral moments they're having, and they're enjoying the limelight. But I wonder, will it be the same feeling once these investigations come and the tables turn and they turn on them? because everything they're seemingly doing, in my opinion, appears to be criminal. I know that they have rights to do certain things. And I know she talks about Fulton County voters. Yeah, okay. Fulton County, I know many people don't look at my stuff, but I wish I would share it, and especially if you know somebody in Fulton County or in Georgia, somewhere close. Those people are going to be going to the polls in 20 days. It's May 1st. In 20 days, they're going to be going to the polls. I want to play a little bit so y'all can hear the sarcasm and the nerve of this officer who left the force at the worst possible time. They had an exodus, they said, of about 40 or so officers. And she said she left because she felt like they wasn't getting the recognition and the notoriety. So everybody wants to be a shero, a hero, a memo, a celebrity. And she works on, they say, a security detail for the Atlanta basketball team, I believe. So she really thinks she's really something. They could not have checked her background. Could not have. I don't know her background, but it sounds real questionable when I read that case law. And that's case law. United States versus Kenneth Copeland. And she testified at the magistrate hearing, but she didn't show up at the supplemental hearing. Now she's testifying for the state, but she don't have the case files for the defense, but she gave them documents out of the case file, and they had recordings. Where did they get that from if it didn't come from her case file? It makes no sense. But they think we're all stupid. We don't have no sense. Y'all can do them any kind of way. They ain't gonna know. And for a lot of us, that's true. But there are some of us, whether we pursue degrees or not, we dare to be great in who we are. And we dare to reach for our star, nobody else's. It's sad. It's truly sad. We got a man on here that I admired. That's why I went on and made up my channel. Now he's paying people to put Astor Children's home address out for the public. An ex-NBA basketball player. #1 draft pick. Has been that never was, but had the opportunity to be and squandered it. Paying people to put Astor Children's home on the internet. They call Astor all kind of names. He's a communist. He's a Russian. He's a racist. He's none of that. He's loving. He's caring. He's logical. He's an Armenian. My first Armenian nephew. He's honorable. He's integral. And he's going to speak it as long as he can talk. He's going to go with what logically makes sense. He's going to follow the logic of whatever is going on. So if you think he's just going to be over here ying, 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 ying for you, and he see you do something and think he ain't going to call you out, you better ask somebody. That's not who he is. Volunteered 26 years of his life to children. He loves and lives and breathes basketball. And that's what he coaches at the school that he attended. He's been there 26 years, giving his time. They contact the schools. I mean, these people are ferocious. But we don't care. We are too in what we do. We love what we do. And you cannot embarrass us, scare us, put us down enough. Not that we don't have feelings and that we don't get hurt, because we do. We feel the pain of it. But we feel the pain and we feel the fear, and we do what we need to get done because it's a greater purpose for us. Many of people say they didn't like the mess. They want a decent place to come. My place, I guess, ain't decent because they don't come. And if they come, they won't engage. It sounds good. Makes for a good storyline. Hell, you can write a book, make a good movie. But people love mess. And especially if it's somebody else's and they can laugh at your pain and not theirs. Because theirs is giving them a run for their money. And you will never know it. You would think they're the strength and the backbone. And they need you and whatever you share so that they can make it through another day laughing at your pain and talking about you, putting you down. It don't make them feel no upper, but they think it does. It doesn't. We got more philosophers and everybody is a psychiatrist or a psychologist. Well, I've heard so many diagnoses on this app. It's unbelievable. And I guess all that they're doing is like most of us as adults, which I don't find many to be, but most of us as adults, you just look at behavior and then you start reducing to the lowest common denominator. That's an adult thing. A lot of these people don't exercise adult thinking. It's all in putting you down and making me feel big. That's what a lot of this is about. And I find that true in all social media platforms. So it's not just this one. But that's human behavior. And once you learn character and behavior, it doesn't take you to be a doctor or a rocket scientist for you to figure out people and their actions. And that's why acetone only function in his mind in logic. Some of that is a good thing because emotions doesn't take over. Most of us operate in emotions because that's all we were allowed. We were not allowed to feel and act out at home. No. We couldn't do that. You couldn't look back at your mama like some of these people look at their parents. You know you wouldn't have eyes. You certainly couldn't say nothing back. That's just what that was. We're losing all hope of respect and dignity. And it's because of the kind of stuff that we're seeing. People in office do. That say they're for the people. When in all honesty, they are for themselves. And they're just trying to get to that position so they can get more money, more money, more money. Unfortunate when there is no money. But they understand the trickery. We don't. They do. Let's listen to this detective before we go. We've looked at all the videos and now we're down to her. And this was in court on day 68. And this is when they're coming back from a break. And Short is talking. And he's one of the defense attorneys. And I love Mr. Short, and his name is Max Shard, and I think it's Shard with a T at the end. I've seen it spelled both ways, but I love the way he carried himself and the way he tried to represent his client. He, Mr. Steele, Mr. Adams, Mr. Matthews. Let me stop this because it's going to make noises for you guys, and I want y'all to hear this. But I want y'all to hear this lady and just listen to when he asks her a question, how she responds. And anybody in their right mind knows that it's not the way that you respond in no witness stand. I mean, really, this is unbelievable, these people.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. All right, thank you, Sergeant Ingram. All right, Mr. Sharp, go ahead.
This court. Investigator Gaither, to my recollection, I last asked you about the surveillance video from January 10, 2015, the Donovan Thomas shooting.
Okay.
Have you seen that surveillance video?
I believe I saw it on the newscast, not the actual video that investigators retrieved, or are you just saying period?
Either one.
I believe I saw like a clip of it on the news.
Have you ever seen the gentleman who now we know is Spencer Wright? Have you ever seen him in the video being on the scene?
I believe I saw the video, a short snippet of it on the news, like the vehicle. Driving by, I don't recall any particular persons or anything in the video, just the vehicle.
Fair enough. You know an individual by the name of Kenneth Copeland, correct?
I do.
Okay. And I'm not going to ask about what was said to you by Mr. Copeland, but I am going to ask about the times you've seen him. Okay, you saw him on January 10, 2015 at police headquarters, correct?
It's either the 10th or the 11th.
Either 10th or 11th, night of the 10th going into the morning of the 11th, correct? All right. Was that the first time you had ever met or seen or interacted with Kenneth Copeland?
No.
As an investigator, you give out your phone number to people in the community from time to time, correct?
Are we speaking about something specific, or?
You give out a number for people to call you, if they have information, things like that.
I have, but it's not a general practice where I just hand out my phone number.
Okay, do you, at that time, I'm talking 2015, when you were still with APD, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Did you have like an APD work phone, or did you operate off of your personal cell phone?
I had a work number.
Okay, you had a work number.
Yes, sir.
As part of your investigations in 2015, you gave Kenneth Copeland had your work number, correct?
After
I wanted to just read a couple of these chats. Someone said, it's so crazy how biased the judge is. I don't know why he just doesn't recuse himself. You're playing with people's lives. And it's obvious you don't know how to just be fair to both parties. Someone said they know what they are doing. Follow the money. Where the crybaby go? No lunch, laugh out loud. His appetite must be off from being sick. Someone mute the judge mic and grab him a Medipop. The jurors saw. Okay, now they're trying to go fast again. They said she overly testified on purpose. Let me see, I just read that. Someone just said she's overly testifying on purpose. Where did I just see that? They said, I hope the judge is reading the chat as he is disgraced to the robe. I've been watching the trial since day one. You here for the trial or here for the chat? Coming in asking people to update you is clown behavior. You start from the beginning and watch the trial. Miss Love got burner phone. We need cell hawk recall. Gaither still on the stand? She been on the stand, y'all, for almost 3 days. They say short cook today. I don't know what y'all talking about. They say she overly testifying purposely, corny, exposing lies. I'm not rewinding this. Judge must have stuffed tissue in his nose. Okay. Hopefully I'm just trying to give it a chance to catch up so that it won't be buffering so much.
I want to believe it was the second interview. If you're speaking around the time of the homicide, that January time, no.
Okay. Now, he was arrested in June of 2015, correct?
I believe so.
On federal charges.
I believe so.
Okay. Sometime between January and June of 2015, you gave him your number, correct? Your work number.
It was definitely after January. I believe it was after January.
Did you have phone conversations? Again, not asking what was said.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have phone conversations with Kenneth Copeland in January of 2015?
I don't recall. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I can't recall at this time.
Do you have any reports documenting these phone conversations with Kenneth Copeland?
In my possession today?
Yes.
No, sir.
Do you have any recordings of your phone conversations with Kenneth Copeland?
In my possession today,
Yes.
I don't have any information as far as reports, recordings, police reports regarding information that Kenneth Copeland gave.
How about February of 2015? Do you know how many phone conversations you had with Kenneth Copeland on your work cell phone in February 2015?
I don't.
Do you have any recordings of these conversations?
I'm not sure.
Do you have any police reports regarding these conversations?
I'm not sure.
Okay. March 2015, same questions. Do you have any documentation of the phone conversations you had with Kenneth Copeland?
Yeah, same answers.
Okay. What about April 2015? Do you have any police reports or recordings of the phone conversations with Kenneth Copeland?
Same answer.
Do you know how many phone conversations you had with Kenneth Copeland in April 2015?
I don't.
How about May 2015?
I don't recall a number that I've ever spoken with him as far as the time frame and the exact number.
June 2015, before his arrest, do you know how many phone conversations you had with Kenneth Copeland?
I don't recall a number of phone conversations ever for Mr. Copeland.
Okay, and do you have any police reports summarizing how many phone conversations you had between Kenneth Copeland and your work cell number from January to June of 2015?
Here with me today, no.
Where would those reports be?
I haven't.
If you know. Do you know where those
We have
reports?
sustained the objection.
Okay, did you write reports about those things?
I believe some of the information was documented, yes, if we were speaking about a particular investigation.
I'm not speaking about the investigation generally, I'm talking about these phone conversations.
What is your question?
Did you write reports regarding the phone conversations?
I sustain the objection, Mr. Form.
Did you write any reports regarding the phone conversations between you and Kenneth Copeland between January 2015 and June 2015?
Are you speaking about a particular incident?
I'm just.
I don't want to speak generally to you.
Any phone conversation that you had, did you write any reports?
If you're speaking about something specific, you can ask for something specific. So
Okay, well,
I don't want. I'm still.
Now tell me, anybody that's listening, what witness asks questions of the defense attorney and then tell them what to ask them, and as he's trying to do what his job is, tell him that she's still speaking and the judge go along with her. This is unbelievable, y'all. I swear.
Answer. So I don't want to answer you generally because I don't want to give the wrong or mischaracterization of my answer. So if you're asking me something specific, I can ask something.
I would like to be very specific.
Okay.
What date did you have a phone conversation with Kenneth Copeland in February 2015?
I don't recall a specific date, but I've had phone conversations with Mr. Copeland several times between January and June.
So, and did you write reports?
Are you, again, asking about something specific?
Specifically on February 22nd of 2015, did you have a phone conversation?
Was that a particular incident that occurred that day?
No, can I have your reports?
Yeah, I object. I sustain the objection.
Okay. You're working a different job today than you were in 2015, correct?
Yes.
Okay. But in preparation of your testimony, you did have phone conversations with the prosecution team about the plans of you testifying, correct?
I've spoken to Love, yes.
Okay. Have you spoken to other members of the prosecution team?
I may have spoken with some phone once.
Okay, was this
Miss Hilton, I'm sorry.
in person or on the phone? The witness availing themselves to prepare for testimony? It shows bias.
I'll rule the objection.
Is this in person or on the phone?
Majority of the time over the phone, if I was available.
You said the majority of the time. Approximately how many phone conversations?
Since the start of myself coming into court,
No, since they started calling you potentially as a witness to prepare you to testify.
I may have talked to Miss Love twice since my time that I've been here testifying. I've spoken to her more often, but I'm really not available to be on the phone during most times because of my job.
How many in-person meetings?
With Miss Love?
With anyone from the prosecution?
Again, can you be more specific? Do you mean since my testimony has started?
No.
One.
Since this case started?
I don't know when this case started. For me, it started 2015.
In the last year. Regarding this case, how many in-person meetings have you had with members of the prosecution team?
I may have met with Miss Love once.
Okay. Is that in addition to the one time you said you met since your testimony started?
No, I see Miss Love every day that I'm here.
Okay, so you talk to her every day that you're here as well?
Yes.
Okay, so, for instance, I believe it was on Tuesday, you were asked, the first questions you were asked were to clarify, telling Walter Murphy that you were going to give him a chance to sober up. Remember that?
Yes.
Okay, the state spoke to you about that the day before and said, hey, you said sober up. We're going to ask you about that, correct?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I don't recall if they did.
You're aware that the defense attorneys were also seeking to speak with you prior to your testimony, correct?
I believe Mr. Steele reached out.
Okay. Mr. Steele wrote you an email hoping to speak with you, and this was around December of 2023, correct?
I stand in.
You're,
I stand the objection. But you can rephrase if you like.
okay. As a witness, Mr. Steele reached out to you about talking about the work in this case, correct?
The work in this case, or that he wanted to speak with me regarding this case?
About the work you did in this case.
Oh, I didn't hear you. I couldn't understand. You said the work you did. I didn't.
Yes, work you did in this case.
He stated he wanted to speak with me in regards to the case. He didn't say a specific reason.
And initially, there was going to be a telephone call to discuss things, but eventually you said that you did not want to speak about the work in this case to the defense side, correct?
No, you're incorrect.
Okay. I'm going to I'm not seeking to.
I have this down in the description. It looks like it doesn't want to play for us, and I'm not going to keep on trying to make this thing play, but I really want you guys to check this out. Let me try to copy it and put it in the chat. I'd like for y'all to check this out for real. If you haven't had a chance to look at it. And I think what I'm going to start doing is some of these that I want to really share, I'm going to just start screen recording it so that I can play it where it's not buffering, because I don't know why it's buffering so much. I have closed out pretty much all the things that I have open, and that's one of the suggestions that the guy had made to me. And this is still getting on my nerves, so I am going to have to think of a different way to do this. I'm just trying to get over here so I can put this in here for you guys, because if you haven't seen it, you should check this out. And that lady is so very unlikable. It's unbelievable. It's, you know, you just try your best to be fair to people, but the way she was talking and the way she kept asking questions, and she didn't remember nothing, and she didn't have no details, and she didn't understand where he was coming from, and I mean, it's just unbelievable. It's actually remarkable. And then if you go and start at day 69 is where they actually started back up. At day 69, they started back up, and they went back to redirect. And you should hear how she's talking to the DA, and she's so easy, and she can answer with glee and yes and no, and it's sickening, y'all. It's really sickening. And then I think that they're going to be off. The jury is off Thursday and Friday, and so I don't know. I think they may have something to do tomorrow. I honestly don't know, but I want you guys to know that I greatly appreciate you all for being here. How many of you it is showing 9 right now. I want to just thank you very much. I see I have 13 likes, so I appreciate you and everybody that's in here. If anybody forgot to hit the like, please hit the like button. I'd greatly appreciate it. I appreciate the interacting and the conversation. The engagement is everything. And it helps YouTube to know that no matter how small, that the people that show up engage. They hit the like, they conversate, and some even share and even comment. So I thank you all very much. But I've been here 3 hours, and this thing doesn't want to act right. So we're going to get ready to say our goodbyes. This is Hot Topics, and they're going to continue to be hot for a while. If it's any subject or anything that you find out about that you might want to see if I'm interested in, feel free to let me know. You can let me know in the comments, or you can send me an email. My email is there, cyjourn1026@gmail.com, and that look like I have at gmail.com, but it's .com. So I'll correct that. But feel free to hit me up if it's something that you would like for me to discuss or whatever. These stories are really interesting, and I think that really I wish more people were interested on this channel. There are a lot of people that's interested, because I'm telling you, a lot of the people that I go watch, and I really love watching those people, Seti Nash, the infamous Sylvia, Stroh, the hillbilly, I love watching him. He's really good and funny. Cadillac Law, she's from here in Dallas. She's an attorney. She doesn't do this kind of law, but she does law. She's really good. Those are some of the people that I watch. And it's a new guy, Go Political. He's really good on that Tiffany Henyard, the lady up there in Dalton. And I said I was going to cover some of her stuff because she has just gone zip up the back crazy. She's really gone crazy. Said he has something here.
It's a compilation video of a number of things put together by EJ Academics. The state.
I love the way Seti tells his stories. Y'all would probably be interested in him. Seti Nash. Y'all should probably subscribe up to him, really. He's doing real good. He's about 30,000 away from, I think it's 200,000. And now he's a little bit less than that. But he called himself the hood attorney. And before we hang up, let's just see if here's a play. Let's see if here's a play. And hopefully there's no music in here. But I am glad that you guys enjoyed that too. But if I say check out all kind of people, because it's all kind on here, and some of them are good and some of them not so good. But for the most part, people are out here just enjoying themselves, or trying to anyway. We have some that's out here that means nobody any good, but they even have a following. So people do what they do. You just find you and enjoy yourself. That's all I can suggest to anybody. On that note, I'm going to get ready to say good night, and I'm leaving the Tiger's Den. Have a beautiful evening, and hope to see you Sunday. And let me leave with my children. I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us who we used to be. Everybody's searching for a hero. People need someone to look up to. I never found anyone to fulfill my needs. A lonely place to be. So I learned to depend on me. I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadow. If I failed, if I succeed, at least I'll live as I believe. No matter what they take from me, they can't take away my dignity, because the greatest love of all is happening to me. I found the greatest love of all inside of me. The greatest love of all is easy to achieve. Learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all. And if by chance that special place that you've been dreaming of takes you to a lonely place. Find yourself in love.